But one, I'd like to say thank you so much, Rachel and Alicia, for planning this. Again, I apologize for not being able to be in person, but had some family commitments. And yeah, so my name is Bishop Saunders. I am 28 years old. I live in Charlotte, well, live in the Noda area. Um, I was born with CF, so growing up for quite a few years, dealing with, I'll say, the complications, some of the complications which go along with that. Um, I work full time at Ernst and Young, their financial services consulting group, and I guess a little bit about me that kind of guides a lot of my nutrition journey, since this is about nutrition at the end of the day, is I am very fortunate enough to be in a position of my CF journey where I'm able to um, run and do CrossFit. So I work out about an hour and a half at minimum every day. And so from a nutritional aspect, that kind of guides a lot of the decisions I make as a CF patient. Um, in addition to, the additional calorie needs that are needed. And then lastly, I think I've been, had the chance to take Trikafta for the last few years since it's been out, and that has definitely changed how I approach food nutrition, just because of how much of a value add it's been in my CF experience. Rachel, anything else you wanted me to touch on before I go on mute?
No, that was great. Thank you so much, Bishop, for the introduction. So you were perfect. Awesome. All right. DeMarcus, are you ready to go? So if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself as well as your mom. And that's perfect. Good.
Yeah, I'm 16. I live in South Carolina. I stay like in the country a little bit. Yeah, I stay in the country. I'm 16. I stay in South Carolina. I've been born. I had CF since I've been born. Um, Anyone with CF, I highly encourage that you work out, try to get out, don't sit around, get your lungs moving, pumping. You will want to, when it comes to what you eat, definitely pay attention to nutrition, the nutrition facts and all that. Um, your medicine will play a big part in what you and how you move forward in life with CF. Taking your medication, treatments, and all of that, that will play a big part. And helping your team too, so they can know how to go about things when you're sick or when you're getting better, and what can help you progress. Trikafta, that's a very important medication for all CFers. It has helped me a lot since I've been taking it. As far as me playing sports too, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, DeMarcus is really great at basketball. So, DeMarcus, did you want to talk a little bit about having a G2?
Yeah. Um, you have I have a G tube and a Sacostomy, but a G tube is mostly for, because all CFers, I'm pretty sure, lose weight at a rapidly amount once you're sick. So the G tube will help you far as taking calories in with your milk. But if you do it consistently while you're in a good position, that also helps too. It helps keep the weight on and helps your weight go up more than what it already was. Far as if you have a sarcostomy, that pretty sure everybody with CF will understand the facts. They help with stomach pain a lot. Flushes, them are something consistently you will want to do so you don't get backed up or none of that. The both of the tubes are very helpful when having it. If you have CF, they're very helpful.
And has having a G2, how has that impacted like your everyday life, or has it?
The G tube, it shows a lot more than a sarcostomy would, but it don't really. Once you get older and understand the fact that something you have to live with, so you got to do what you got to do. It don't really bother you a lot. Like once you finally get the mindset that you have to do what you got to do to live and keep on going in life, it's going to become a normal thing. Like everybody with CF, I'm pretty sure it takes a toll on their mental, physical, like all that. But once you realize you got to deal with it, it'll become normal. It's not something you would complain about a lot.
And talk a little bit, how long have you had your G2?
Mm, I don't have it. 8. Since I was 8. I've had it for a while.
Oh, so 8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are, and you kind of touched on this, what are your pros for having your G2?
Pros for having if you lose weight, that's a having the G tube is a good thing because it's gonna help put that right back on. Now, it's that's really all you can do with the G tube is for the weight. A Sakostomy, a pros with that, you don't really have to deal with stomach pain like others. Like someone with CF will have to just deal with it until it's gone. If you have a Sakostomy, if you do what you have to, you can get rid of it. Like there's pros and cons to having CF. It's not all bad. You just got to think about the good and what comes with it.
Thanks, Marcus. Okay. And what are some cons to having a G2?
Just the G tube, like because it shows. It ain't really nothing bad about it. It just shows. But if you like, it depends. Everybody with CF is different, so depends the circle you have built around you. You will realize it ain't really nothing. It's not a bad thing. It's there to help you. It just shows like if you eat something, it'll show. But like just a costomy tube, it wouldn't really show.
Okay. And you told me a fun story about having a G2 as a kid. Do you want to talk about that experience with your sister?
Oh, I had figured out that if you go outside and come back in, it glows. So I used to act like I was a superhero and call myself Glow Man when I was younger.
That's
When I
cool.
had I found out that it glowed. So I used to call myself Glow Man.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat because you have a really great spirit about having the G2, and it sounds like you guys have made the best of having
Yeah.
it.
Anytime that's why like see it's not a bad thing. You can always turn into a positive. Like when you're in hospital, you can find something positive, turn into it's always something you can turn into a positive. That's what it's all about the circle that's surrounded around you.
And you play a lot of basketball. So how has that impacted having a G2?
Um it ain't I can't really say it's a pro nor a con. Cause like I said, it's one of the things you have to live and deal with. But when most people playing sports, if you are have cystic fibrosis and play sports, it'll make you think twice. Like, am I gonna get hurt? This and that. But besides that, it's not a pro nor a con. It's just one of the things you gotta deal with. Now, as far as I encourage playing sports because of the lungs, help open them up, keep them moving instead of sitting around or not doing something. Do something productive. Walk, ride a bike, just something to keep your lungs moving.
Yeah, well, great. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm always inspired by you. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Now, I know your mom is nearby, Miss Lanita. Do you want to? Hi. Do you want to share what it's like taking care of a child with a G2?
Yes, I will. Let me hop on here right quick. How you guys doing?
Um,
Um, so taking care of a child with CF is definitely um because I have twins. Let me start off saying that Destiny doesn't even have the trait. And so with Demarcus, it's scary, but it's a learning for all of us. Like I never knew about CF until he actually was diagnosed with it. So it's definitely a learning experience. Taking care of him has been challenging. I think it was easier when he was younger because you can make it fun with him taking his meds and stuff like that. So now that he's 16, it's like you more so have to, discuss with him what would happen if he don't stay on his meds and if he don't consistently do what he needs to do. But overall, Demarcus, it definitely helps because he's a good kid. Um, and he understands. But I just try to make things fun and sort of kind of easy, overall.
All right, well, thank you guys both. Sure, sure.
Hey, sorry, I'm not sure if you can see me. My name is Chuck, and I also have twins. One has CF and one does not. So interesting. My girls are 8 years old. Just a quick question for DeMarcus. When he plays basketball, does he wear any kind of like belt or padding on the to protect the button, or does he just kind of go with just a t-shirt or something?
There's a pad you can get out of Hibbett. It's just I have a port too, so I protect the port. But the G2 and all that, there is a compression shirt with pads. Yeah, you can protect that also.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Do you wear
You're
that?
welcome.
No.
Yeah.
Do you wear it,
Yeah.
DeMarcus?
My G2 and that I have it for a long time, so I ain't never really worried about getting hurt. But far as my padding for my port, I wear that.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. Thank you guys so much. Okay, and then we also have a family in the room, the Paolidis. Parker is not here. She's very cute though. So if you guys would like to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your story as far as and how it's impacted your nutrition and vice versa. And whatever you would like. Thanks for being there.
I'm Allison. This is my husband Nick, but Parker's going to be 2 next month, so we are relatively new to the CF world. We're in the same boat as a lot of parents where we didn't know what it was. My introduction to CF was in the height of COVID in my OB's office. We had a weird ultrasound come back, and it was not my normal doctor, so somebody strange. He can't be there, and he goes, "Yeah, she's got an abnormal bowel, and that could mean, could be CF, could be stillbirth, or it could be nothing. Have a great day." So that, great introduction. Things have gotten much, much better since then, but, just kind of going through the challenges and figuring out the schedules and things like that. We're both very visual, so we have all of the data of all of the things that she eats and her schedule and her routine and when she does everything. So it's been really helpful to, let my type A portion of my personality take over so that I can keep myself sane, I think, throughout the process.
Yeah, so I mean, just to piggyback on that, just as far as the introduction goes, yeah, same with me. I mean, we both didn't know about CF. I think when we did the amniocentesis before, or to find out right away, and I left that meeting and flew to India. So we got that news while I was in India that she 100% had it. So we've been struggling with that, and trying to lean on each other. You try to lean on loved ones and stuff too, and it's hard for them to understand too. They don't know if it's a super serious thing, if it's not a serious thing. So part of it's educating your family members and friends as well. I will say, having the care team that we have with Emily and Dr. Shellhouse and Chada, we talked about a little bit, and everyone else that's involved, Kendra, I mean, everybody that we talk to every time we go in, has just been fantastic, and the support system's been incredible. And I think, Emily, you invited us because you've seen Parker go from really bad red zone, as you talk the red, yellow, green stuff. She was really bad red, super skinny, couldn't keep weight on, and now for the first time, her last clinic visit, she was in the green. So we've seen it all in her short 2 years of life. So, but again, yeah, just it's been as bad as CF can be. It's great to hear people like DeMarcus and everyone else who says you can't. It's not all bad. It's just something you got to deal with. So that's cool to hear from someone like that who's been in it for 16 years now. So that's really cool.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate everyone introducing themselves. So we thought we would take time to open the floor up to anyone that's on the call or in the room. Anything that you would like to ask our panel, any questions? I know we have an adult perspective, a teenager's perspective, of course, a 2-year-old's perspective. Her perspective might be a little different, but for parents' perspective. So any questions I would like to ask?
I guess it's good for the adult perspective. Our son is 17, he'll be graduating next year. How did you get yourself ready to because he's all about wanting to move out, he's ready to be independent. What are some tips to get him ready? And we know the things that we learn in clinic, but personally, what were some things that helped you get ready to move out and take care of yourself?
That's a great question. And so I went to Mars Park High School, and then when I graduated, I went to NC State. I say that because I think that when growing up, it's one thing. At least I don't know if DeMarcus has a similar thought, but it was one thing for when you're 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, and most of my experience and my parents or family members saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then DeMarcus's point, when I went to school and try to kind of maintain my medication, my medicines on my own, it almost was like, oh, me telling me back, okay, I need to do this now. And so for me, it was a little bit of I'll say a smoother transition, only because I felt almost empowered to be like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm on my own. And here are the things, if I have a checklist of 10 things to stay healthy, if I check my day, be a normal human being, right? So when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to medication, I almost feel empowered to say, okay, once I get this done, I can be like my roommate or like a person across the hall, like a fellow college student, a fellow, individual my age. And so for me, it was almost empowering to take ownership of that. And even to the point of my medications, I'm like, Mom, no, family, even though I'm in Raleigh, switched all the medications to be delivered to this pharmacy. I want to take ownership of that. So it was a very empowering thing to be like, oh, I'm on my own now. But I've also heard of others' experiences where, they felt freedom and took advantage of their time. May not have kept up with their medications. And this whole thing is just a process, right? Like, you might go 1 week or one time when you might be losing weight or need to go to the hospital. And there might be another years where you're really successful and you feel like everything's going right. So I think it's a learning journey, but I personally felt empowered to take it on my own because I didn't have my parents saying at the beginning of every dinner, did you take your enzymes? That was my least favorite word to this day. We joke about it, but yeah, it was very empowering to just take it on and own it. Own it.
Bishop, I think you've spoken on this previously, but was there a time, like when you went to college, where you kind of slacked on doing those things? And I think some people have experienced that or probably will experience it, those sort of teen years where you just want to be like everybody else and you're not really doing your treatments, but did come back around and now you've taken that ownership. If you could just speak a little bit about that.
Yes, 100%. So like I said, it's a process. So my freshman year at NC State, I did feel, I'll say, a little ownership over that, but that doesn't mean I didn't slack. So my freshman year of college in around the November, December timeframe, I had to go to the hospital because I slacked off heavily and I ended up getting what we still don't know what it actually was, but a meningitis. So I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, trying to get all medicines, every medicine I could possibly get. And that was a huge wake-up call. Being a college student that didn't get the best grades their first semester and probably stayed up too late too many times. But that was a huge wake-up call to almost reprioritize my health and be like, okay, I can't be successful if I don't do these things first. So I said what I said before, coming through the context of I kind of understand that it's a challenge. It's a challenging battle, but it almost is something that I had to realize myself. And my dad, my mom, my parents, they could all say, here's what you need to do. But I had to realize it myself to be able to fully context what could happen if something went wrong. And something that went very wrong. I lost 15 pounds in the hospital. And it was really, really challenging times. So, but yeah, so I had to have that kick in my butt to really get myself organized, I'll say.
DeMarcus, your mom mentioned how you have a twin sister, Destiny. Can you just touch on the fact of what that's like to have not only a sibling, but a twin who does not have CF and what that's like for you?
At first, it'd take a toll on you because you'll be wondering things like, why do I go through this and she don't? But as the older you get, it becomes she can help. My sister helps a lot. She learns my medication, but it's not really a big of a thing. But she's a human just like I am, so she'll wonder the same thing. Why he got it and I don't? And I'll wonder why do I go through it and she don't? But the older you would get with your sibling, y'all both would start to understand it.
Hey, DeMarcus, I have a question for you. So, I appreciate Bishop's view of like what happened in college. My daughter is 8, and so right now we can control her taking her meds and doing her treatments and that sort of thing. Have you gotten to a point where at your age you've gotten off track and then you got yourself back on track?
Yeah.
Get your thoughts.
I had the same experience as him. It took something like serious to happen to me for me to realize myself that I got to get it together. I just say when getting on them about taking something, make sure give it constructive criticism. Give it so they can know that this is something you have to do. When I was younger, of course you're gonna tell them take the medicine here and there, but with CF sometimes you will forget, but sometimes you just won't want to do it. Or before you go to school, you gotta get on your treatments, but sometimes it's just something you're not gonna want to do. But once you get older, you're gonna realize if you don't want it for yourself, then it ain't. You won't be successful if you don't want it for yourself. You gotta want to live and do better for yourself. But when I was younger, I wasn't always the type to do exactly what I was told.
I appreciate that perspective. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question from experience. You guys were talking about the struggle of going from the red zone to the green zone. Like, what did you find most helpful in that time period to like get you through that time? That to help other people with young kids or toddlers and that.
Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit. We tracked her calorie intake and tried to estimate, what she was taking. And a really great thing for us with having those tools and kind of creating those tools for ourselves was to be able to look at the day as a whole instead of one meal or one feed. She would throw up her meals a lot. So it was very frustrating. We would give her the Creon, do the 40 minutes, get as many calories in her as we could, and then she'd lose that whole meal. So it was very difficult mentally to not let yourself spiral and, just kind of stay on track. But I think the consistency, Emily was wonderful. We talked her head off every time we were in clinic. We took all the tips, we took all the tricks, we applied them as much as we could. And then just kind of reminding ourselves, this is not one meal. This is not one snack. You have to look at it as, the average of all the things. And eventually she did better. She also hated a bottle. She was on a feeding tube for the first 3, or on IVs, I guess, for the first 3 weeks of her life because she had surgery from the meconium-itis. So she didn't learn to eat right from the get-go. She had to figure out how to do it. She still doesn't take a bottle very well, even though we still give her one at night. But just reminding yourself that you can't get stuck in the 1 hour that it sucks, because sometimes it sucks and that's okay, but it's better.
Yeah, I'll just say from tangible things, again, Allison touched on it, but like we actually physically I built like a spreadsheet, and I think Emily's seen it.
Because you're a big nerd.
Right, but literally, and I realize this isn't feasible for every parent, but for us it was, and it was very helpful. So we literally had a Google Doc that we just shared with each other that I could go through every day on a date, how many, I would track the calories every day, especially now that she's eating like actual food, it's almost impossible to do that. You just can't.
She had 3
And
bites.
she's doing dry-fi snacks, so you're having to get enzymes in her as she's doing that. So it's not as feasible anymore, but for the first couple, first year and a half of life, it was easy to say, well, we gave her this, let's track it. That thing had bar graphs on it, and line graphs. The other thing that's probably more feasible for young parents was we have a family calendar that's like in our kitchen. And next to it, we had another just like blank board where, Allison would write out the meal plans for the day. So this is what we're having for breakfast. This is what we're having or this meds go with breakfast. This is what meds go with the snack. This is what meds go with lunch. Let's go with the afternoon snack, nighttime snack, late night. So it was easier for us to get used to the daily grind, so to speak, of CF, especially for a newborn, to visibly see it, have it tangible there in the kitchen. So those two things, as far as tools, literal tangible tools, I think helped a lot. But then everything Allison said too around that was awesome.
And I would add to that, it was my parents did the exact same thing when growing up. And then what's cool about CF is that you can truly see such a huge transformation of an individual, a journey, a process into getting older. So like what that spreadsheet tracking meals is incredibly valuable when you're a parent and you have very young children with CF. And then now in my position as I got into maybe like 15, 16, 17, and then now 28 years old, my number one rule, I'm kind of about simplicity, is let's make sure you have an extra meal in the day. So 3 meals a day is, I'll say, quote unquote normal. Make sure you have that 4th meal. So I'm not about calorie tracking, but I know that if I hold myself accountable to 4 meals instead of 3, that's kind of my line in the sand that I feel like on average, it'll net out to where I'm having a lot more calories than an individual. And that's worked really well for me. So I know someone had mentioned that their son is 17 years old. I think like when I got in college, my number one rule is make sure to have an extra meal, an extra heavy snack throughout the day. And then if I check that box, I can move along with my day and be happy that I cared for myself, specifically nutritionally too. So it's cool to see that evolution to how tracking nutrition in different ways.
Does anyone else have a nutrition tip that, sorry, I had now I can't read, that helped improve your nutrition status, that really worked for you, that might be helpful for other people?
Try to get high calorie things that you like. Like me, I would buy high calorie, it'll be chocolate flavored, but I'll make a shake out of it and drink that. That'll be good. Or I get like some type of cereal bar, but it's like Quest, like the Quest kind. So it's like high calorie. Get high calorie snacks that you would like, something you would just randomly eat because you got the taste for it, while at the same time helping yourself.
Okay, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
On that. So we did the same thing for her snacks. I think I read every nutrition label on the baby aisle and found the things, like I know with the puffs, she has to have 4 to 5 of them to get a calorie, but with the quinoa bites, she can have 1 of them and it's 1 to 1. So knowing what you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of was wonderful. We also did the coconut oil, which she is a crazy person and just drinks it. So there's that worked, but it was a lot of calories into every meal with her not having to put a ton of effort into it. But I think something that has changed for me, at least, with trying to get somebody else to eat when they don't want to, is just making sure that there's not the stress of it and not, I'm stressed and I know that I'm stressed. I know that I'm wound up, but making sure that if she's not in the mood for it right now, we're not going to push it. We're not going to make food a stressful thing for her, because it can't be a negative battle every day of forcing her to eat when she doesn't want to, because she already is gonna have a weird relationship with food. She's already gonna have so much on her plate just to manage her lifestyle. So I don't need to make her like the clean plate club like I was. She wants it, great. And if not, we'll try again later. It is what it is. Just take a breath and go.
I guess to piggyback all of that, what you're saying, does anyone else have anything to add of how you have managed the stress of tracking your nutrient intake?
Can you say that again?
How have you managed the stress of tracking, like how many calories you're taking, how much protein? Or is it still stressful?
I don't know. I ain't never really been into tracking my meals. I eat a lot. I eat like 4 or 5 meals a day. So I ain't never really been into tracking. I ain't never really been in tracking my meals.
So I would just throw something out there. I mean, I think some of the things that you're saying are like a microcosm. So we did that. We tracked literally every single calorie, the versus rich eating our all these different things. And Dr. John's like, okay, calm down. But I think over time we kind of realized that. I mean, I think we all know it. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Just that saying. And it's sort of filtered into more of our everyday, like it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So this one meal is not gonna like crack the code or something, but over time, we're trending in a good direction. And so I think trying to, I don't know, remind ourselves of that. Like the thing about the relationship with food is a really big thing for us. Like we don't want to create that. I think we have already, but you try to back off as much as you can, and just realize it's a marathon and a sprint. Just having that mentality, I think, has been very helpful in managing that stress.
I'll add to that too, piggybacking off a couple things. So like what Allison said and what DeMarcus said earlier around, it's all about the circle around you. So I know as new parents for us, it was important for us when you would see one parent getting stressed, maybe Parker just threw up, or she won't take a bottle, or she just doesn't want to eat, to be that sounding board and be that second party to come in and remind that person it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. That was big for us, but to not let both parents spiral at the same time. It was probably more her like trying to get me to calm down, but but I think that's big too. It is a lot about your circle around you. That's a big thing. Don't direct all the stress again for newborn parents. Try not to direct that stress. So yeah, I agree.
And as a coming into, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't hear you finishing.
Go ahead.
Okay. So now an adult, I know the original question was how is, calorie tracking, does it add stress? How do you cope with that? And I mean, it's similar to DeMarcus. I personally have not been one to track calories, but I think at the end of the day, do I feel good? Like, I think my version of calorie tracking is, do I feel good? Am I hungry? Am I going to bed like a little bit full? Like those are kind of like triggers that in the place of calorie tracking as you move through your marathon CF journey, right? Those are things that I kind of cue and pick up on that works for me. I think a tip too is the grocery store now has so many like little pre-packaged foods. It's debatably too much. But something that's really worked for me is those little things that are like Uncle Ben's rice, and there's like not quite like frozen meals, but the little pouches that are like in between 250 and 500 calories. I personally get mine from Trader Joe's, and it typically has like, some of them have potatoes and vegetables and fats and things in them. Like I always pick up one of those, and it's a great way if you're, a teenager, adult, etc., to just intake calories super easy. And it's all about simplicity for me. But yeah, I think that calorie tracking can be challenging, and especially in think there's a lot of individuals who do not have CF and track calories, and it gets to become a little bit of a toxic relationship with food. So at the end of the day, it's really the question is, do you feel good, right? Like, do you feel like you're getting the food that you need? And then it kind of cues into how you feel about your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, and that's really at the end of the day, that's the key question of anyone, even if you have CF or not, is do you feel good? Do you feel healthy? Because that's what really matters.
Um, I was going the part I was speaking about the circle. It's about the circle you're surrounded by. From what I see my parents go through, when you're in the hospital, it shouldn't be a thing where you have to question what did you do wrong, because sometimes it's literally just our bodies just reacting in a horrible way. Because you have to look at it. This is not our last time here, because they're gonna have CF for the rest of their life. So you can't look at it as something we're doing wrong, because that's not gonna be your last time visiting the hospital. Uh, yeah, it's really about the circle you got around you. When I was growing up with the friends I got, they made me look at the situation I in was something that was cool. Like, uh, you want to have people around you that uplift the situation you're going through. So when I was growing up, people looked at the situation I went through as cool. And now that I'm older, I stay in the country. So now that I'm older, most people know about my situation, but the older you get, more people be more supportive. The older, like, they're supportive when you're younger, but the older you get, everybody's older and mature. So you'll catch a lot of love where people always checking up on you.
I wanted to ask, just a follow-up question on that, for Bishop and Demarcus. Was your experience kind of growing up and then now in terms of like people commenting about how much you're eating or about your body? Did you have any experience? Was that something that you dealt with, and how did you handle that?
Um, I never really had nobody speak to me about how much I eat. Yeah, nobody ever really brought it up to me. It's really just you'll get now with CF growing up, a lot of people question you like what is it, or what is it, what does it do? But I don't think I ever went through that stage of, bullying or anything. I never went through that. I always had people around me that found it cool or uplifted me about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. I think that specifically when you're in like what when we're elementary school, and if you're eating a lot, like, you know, to use the common saying, here's a growing boy, like it's a growing girl, right? Like I think that from a food standpoint, not so much, but it was really intriguing. I two separate times when coming into class with apparently it was a new thing at the time, but a portable IV, like with the medicines in this little ball, coming to class with that. I was surprised how many people, or how many of my how many kids in my class were almost like curious were curious about it versus judgmental about it. And like being that curious but judgmental is something I love to talk about quite a bit, but they were very curious about it and almost engaging and being more understanding of the perspective that I come from. And frankly, one of my I have had, sad, or for the better, for the worse, I've spent two birthdays in December I've spent in the hospital. But the memory I come out of that isn't like, oh, poor me, birthday spent in the hospital. I had a lot of fun playing pin the tail on the donkey on the door, right? Like that was the memory I come out with. So it's very I think that having that supportive community around you is so critical. And it's surprising how many people, when are interested to learn about CF and learn about your experience, um, as opposed to being judgmental or critical, or they can't do this, they can't do that. Um, it's more of a boon to my self confidence when I can do something just as well as someone else could. If, now for me running or whatever it is. So it is surprising how much curious people are as opposed to judgmental. So it's that much more important just to share your story and talk about your experience to anyone who would be willing to listen.
Thank you all to our panelists. So it really has helped, I hope from this that you learn something from someone else who has CF. You learned a trick or in general, like just learned how to care for one another and to. So with that, I think that we're ready for the drawing for the bingo cards. It was not.
Who has to go? Well,
Do we need to have the?
if which one for you?
Thank you so much.
No, just that you're here. Just that you're here.
Hey. My mom wanted know if she could say something.
What you said, Marcus?
My mom wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Melinda.
Hey, you guys. I'm sorry. But I just wanted to touch bases on something. Coming from a community where we knew nothing of CF, we only knew of sickle cell. So when we was introduced to CF, it was, it was really, and we just had to learn it. But for me as a parent, it helped so much to have a awesome team on our side because that was like the best thing for me mentally and emotionally. So, the team that he has is wonderful and we appreciate it so much because it helped me get through a lot of things as well. Um, Understanding that I had no one to go to, but the team. I had no one to talk to but the team because they were the only ones that can answer questions and understand where I was coming from. So having that on our side has been a blessing. And I love everybody. The whole team is just awesome. Even from Dr. Black when he was younger, going to see Erica and stuff. Sometimes I just want to ride up there and see them, but I don't know if they're still there so they can see how big DeMarcus has done gotten and stuff like that. But I never forget those faces or people. And that is a blessing, and we just want to say thank you.
That means a lot.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you guys.
And please reach out if you have any questions or if you have any any questions offline. I don't know if Rachel, if you're allowed to share my email, but I'm happy to chat with parents, or if you're 17 or whatever, I'm happy to chat and be as helpful as I can be with someone going through CF, maybe a few life stages ahead. So please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you.